Good day to all of you all. My name is Sachin and I am lecturer in the Department of Hospitality Science from Milagres College. So today I am going to explain you of a simple topic that we do in our cooking life, or what we say we do cooking. So we use the common ingredient what we use in our daily life is sugar or salt. So if we have a normal food or like a tasty food, probably a main course or your so you use salt. That's a common seasoning. Whereas when you make anything sweet or a dessert or a sweet desserts, we use sugar as a common ingredient. So today I'm going to tell you something basic facts on sugar. What is sugar all about? Okay. So sugar, as you all know, like many people know about sugar, it is made from the sugar cane. But there are certain vegetables or certain plants where we obtain sugar as well, and that is called as sugar beet. Okay, it's normally a root vegetable, or commonly very similar. You cannot say exactly the same. Similar to the radish or a beetroot or a tapioca, those kind of fruit they use to make sugar. So these are called as a sugar beet. These are the originality of sugar, how the sugar is obtained. The grain sugar, it is from the sugar cane. It can be made from other fruits as well, but the common sugar, it's always made from the sugar cane. The highest, 80% in the world, it's prepared from the sugar cane. The next one, the functions. What are the main functions of sugar? So you always say, like, sugar we use commonly to make the dish sweet. But it is not that. It is, yes, it is used to make the dishes sweet, to make the desserts. Of course, the desserts are the sweetest dish. But there are functions of sugar which has, which makes certain dishes very useful, very important. Sometimes sugars are used as a most important ingredient for making a particular dish. For example, cake. Cake has the taste of sugar, the sweetness, yes, because of the sugar. But there are certain things which makes the sugar a very important ingredient that I'll come across. The first one is the sweetening. Yes, it's a sweetening agent. That's why it gives the food a tasty, a sweet taste. The next one, it softens the gluten in flour. Now when we make a bread, or we make bread rolls, or we make any kind of a bakery bread, we use sugar. What is the reason behind that? There are gluten. The gluten, it is nothing but it is a protein content which is formed in the wheat. There are, if you go to the supermarkets, you might get a lot of wheat flour which might be written like gluten free. There are certain human beings or certain people, they are allergic to gluten. So you might get these kind of wheat flour which is like gluten free. So gluten is nothing but a content. Okay, the elasticity, what we say, like, when you make a chapati or when we make a bread, get those elasticities all because of the gluten content. Okay, and when we add the sugar, for example, when you are making a dough, we add sugar and the yeast. Why we cannot add the sugar? Just we can add the yeast so that it might get, like a balloon, or it might blow. But why sugar is added? What is the main purpose of adding the sugar? Why? Because it acts as a fermentation. If you don't add sugar, there won't be a fermentation. To make a dough, you should add yeast with little bit of water, milk, that's an optional, and you have to add a bit of sugar so that the fermentation takes place. Okay? It provides color to the food. Certain dishes, when you make some kind of sweet dish, a bakery dish, or a pastry, or Danish pastry, you might have seen the Danish pastry. Okay, it looks so wonderful. The layer of the top layer of the Danish pastry comes with the sugar caramel. So it gives a color. The caramel, what we say, like caramel is like heating of sugar, the burning of sugar. So that is called as caramel. Retain moisture. When we add sugar to any food, apart from the sweetness, it gives a moisture to the food. It gives a look. It gives an eye appeal. When we see a certain food, it looks. For example, like a gulab jamun or jalebi, it is dipped in the sugar syrup. So it gives a It gives a moisture. It retains, it has that moistness. While looking at the dish, we can say, oh, it's yummy. The next one, it acts as an activator. As I said about, the activating of sugar and yeast, okay, it converts into alcohol. So it also acts as an activator. It's the main ingredient. Yes, for all the sweet dishes, sugar is the main ingredient. Without sugar, you cannot prepare any sweets. Okay. It acts as a preservative. Now, what is preservative? You might have seen a lot of pickles. Have you ever seen a sweet pickle? No? Yes, you have to see. You get a lot of these sweet pickles in and around the market. It is made from different kinds of fruits or dry fruits. You might have seen apple pickle, pomegranate pickle, or you might have seen orange pickle. These are very common. Local language we say like, murabba. Murabba is something kind of a pickle which is made from, it is like more of sweet. So even the sugar syrup, if you go to the sweet shop, when you go to the sweet shop, you might have seen the gulab jamun which is kept in a display, and that can be kept for at least 1 week because it acts as a preservative. Preservative is nothing but it preserves the food for a longer period of time. And the next one is a coagulant. It is an anticoagulant. What do coagulant means? Coagulant is in the sense like if you have a if anything you get a wound on your hand, the blood flows off, okay, or somewhere if there is a clot, that is called as a coagulation. Somewhere it's a block. But when you add sugar, you won't find any dish, it doesn't get coagulated. You won't find any kind of solid particles left around in the liquid. So the sugar will tend to make all the mixture together and blend together. Stabilizing agent. Stabilizing agent, what we say like, there are a lot of stabilizing agent like gelatin. Gelatin what we use for making puddings or desserts, it gives that kind of a spongy or a elastic texture. So even the sugar also plays an important role in making the food or stabilizing the food or giving that texture of elasticity or a spongy. The next one is incorporates air. You might have seen like a lot of breads or bread rolls, cakes. If you break into pieces and you can see those small pores, that means it incorporates air. It all because of adding of sugar. Okay. Okay. The chemical composition. The chemical composition like sugar, it has a chemical composition. The two main composition of the sugar are the monosaccharides and the disaccharides. So the sugar, normally which is made from the sugar cane, it has sucrose. So the highest composition of chemical in the sugar is sucrose. So there are different classification of chemical composition. So you can find this as a monosaccharides, which you can find in grapes, honey, or even in onions. Fructose. As you see, like why the example of onions is been given. You might have seen a lot of recipes which they mention. You have to saute the onions till it is caramelized, because onions also has a high amount of sugar. Okay, so when it gets sauteed with the oil or butter or any kind of fat, it gets caramelized. It turns into pink. We say like, when it is turned into golden brown. So that means it is getting caramelized. Fruits, you'll find it in fruits or honey. The disaccharides, the main composition is the sucrose. Okay, found in fruits or sugar. Maltose, mostly found in malts. Malts, it's obtained from cereals like wheat, rice, barley. Okay, like when we prepare drinks like beer. So beer, it is like fermented malt. It is made from a fermented malt. Malt is nothing but germinated barley, which is then boiled, and whatever the liquid, that liquid is called as a malt, and then it is fermented with yeast. So that natural sugar which is present in the malt, when it is mixed with the yeast, it gets converted into alcohol, and that process is called as fermentation. So sugar has a very important role in fermentation, most probably in preparation of a lot of alcoholic beverages like beer, wine, whiskey, rum, everything. It has the biggest composition. They don't add sugar. Normally for making all these spirits or any kind of alcoholic beverage, they don't add sugar because already, for example, a wine is made from grapes. Grapes has a natural sugar. So when you make a grape juice, when the juice is extracted from the grapes, and once you add the yeast into the grape juice, so automatically, the process starts of fermentation. The sugar converts into alcohol. And you have the next one is the lactose. Lactose is a very common kind of a chemical composition of sugar which is found in the dairy products, okay, like milk. And next comes the types of sugar. You might have come across a lot of different varieties of sugar, which is normally made from a sugar cane. Normally what we use, because we are from the tropical climate, in the country itself we have a highest harvesting of sugar cane. So we always prefer sugar which is made from a sugar cane. So there are different varieties or different types in sugar, what we come across. So the first one is the castor sugar. Have you ever seen a castor sugar? It's not exactly what we use in our daily life. It's not those granulated sugar. Little smaller size than your granulated sugar. Probably you can see a Bombay Rava or a semolina, or the particles, smallest one. Those are the castor sugar. Castor sugars are mostly used in preparation of cake. You know, the icing sugar. We prepare the icing sugar, or the icing on the top of the cake, with the help of a cream. We use the castor sugar. Castor sugar, yes, there are alternatives that if you don't have castor sugar, you can use a normal granulated sugar. But castor sugar gives a better quality in preparing a better cake. Okay, the next one is the granulated sugar. This is a sugar what we use in our daily life. Okay, whatever we make a dessert, or if you make a tea or a coffee, we add these kind of granulated sugar. So what we see this granulated sugar, it's like a whitish. Normally when in a manufacturing process of sugar, when the sugar is manufactured, the molasses, the liquid which is obtained from heating of sugarcane juice, the molasses which is being dried up and it is solidified. So when this sugar forms into crystal, it is brown in color, and to get the whitish color, it is refined, it is polished, and then you get the color of white. Okay. So these are the granulated sugar. Cube sugar. You can say it's a mixture of cashew sugar which is formed into cubes. This kind of sugar you can find it in a lot of coffee shops or cafes. If you go to Cafe Coffee Day or Barista's Coffee, they serve these kind of sugar as an accompaniment. So these are the cube sugars. Icing sugar. Icing sugar is nothing but your powdered sugar. Okay. So don't get confused with the castor sugar or the icing sugar. So icing sugar is the powdered sugar. And you have the demerara sugar. This is unpolished sugar crystals. If you polish the sugar, it will be a normal granulated sugar, but it is not polished, it is a demerara sugar. You might have had a lot of coffees like cappuccino, cafe latte. Okay, so the ideal accompaniment for these coffees are the demerara sugar, or in normal words we can say a golden sugar or a brown sugar. Barbados. Barbados, the beautiful island in the West Indies or the Caribbean. Barbados is one of the highest producers of sugarcane, or the harvesters of sugarcane. It is one of the best sugar in the world. You can see other countries like Jamaica. India itself are the best producers of sugarcane. So Barbados, they prepare these kind of sugar, which is called as a dark Barbados. What is the difference in the Barbados, dark Barbados, and the demerara? Demerara, you can find it more golden or lightish brown in color, whereas your dark Barbados, you'll find it very sticky compared to the demerara, where they add a little bit content of a molasses liquid, a molasses syrup. So for that, it becomes very sticky and it is more darker compared to the demerara sugar. These kind of sugars are mostly used in the icings or preparation of certain kind of desserts, which put on the top layer of the dessert, like Danish pastry. So you put on the top layer of the pastry and it is baked, so that whatever the sugar gets melted, the caramelized, so that product is called as a Danish pastry. Okay. The next one is the golden syrup. The alternative, if you don't have the solid crystal sugar, we use syrups. Where it is used? Preparation of cocktails, mocktails. In like bartenders, they hardly use sugar, granulated sugar. Probably like mojito. You might have heard about the famous cocktail from Cuba, mojito. They use the granulated sugar. But there are certain cocktails like where they cannot use the granulated sugar. So instead of that, they use the syrup. Okay. Normally your gulab jamun or any kind of Indian desserts, what we use, the main sweetness comes from the syrup. So these are the golden syrup. There are a lot of stages in making the sugar syrup. Very thick, or it depends on the string consistency. The more it is, it has a 2 or 3 string, that means it is more thicker. The lightest one is the 1 string consistency. This is a molasses. This is the product from where you get the sugar. From this liquid, it is then crystallized and then you get the granulated sugar. Molasses, the main product, because see, when you talk about sugar, sugar itself is a byproduct of sugarcane. Even the molasses is also a byproduct of sugarcane. From sugar, from molasses itself, you make the granulated sugar. Okay, so this is a molasses. It's a kind of a syrup. It is heating of the sugar juice, the sugarcane juice. Water, it has been extracted from the sugarcane. So the juice is being heated up. So the liquid gets thickened and it turns into the black liquid. That is called as molasses. Thank you. That's all. This is all about topic about the sugar. And thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.